Yeah.
The people that own homes who settled on Devil's Park, subdivisions and counties south, on south of Ben Hur.
They hadn't having series on law enforcement, on history of law enforcement.
That area very well. Is that toward Lurton and Chelsea and in that area?
Mm-hmm. You know, there's a big lake there, but Lurton, that's what fish in it, not big fish out of it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And some of these settlers from Devil's Park, their relatives are still on that. I have quite a bit of information. They have written me and wanted me to write a book like I did about my family, but I'm afraid I'm too far gone.
Oh, Ma. I think you're anything but far gone. We can get it down on tape and we'll from there. Maybe somebody type it on.
You know, I've got the same trouble with it, Ella. I don't think it's so good anymore.
But I think your memory is fantastic. Your memory.
Well, I remember the things that happened when I was 3 years old better than do what happened yesterday.
I wish I'd have got that and told his brother, German swearing and stuff, walking their grandpa. When they were kids, they'd hear their old grandpa, he'd swear in German, he spoke German about all the time.
I tell them what happened down in Huntsville, Arkansas.
Of course, nobody could imitate them, but they had it down pat.
And he'd say, well, you just had to know where you went and where we were and how you followed us and everything. And said if you had known, would tell me, because that's the thing I'm just exactly the way.
There's another one on the old Glover's place up there, Lucy Cleafield, somewhere, and I think it's there in 1865.
It made like it just broke the mountains when I was living.
Don't remember the name.
And we went to a spring where they were butchering
Keithley, I bet that may be Lucy Keithley. But someone had told me about the home grave up there in the old Glover place where it is, I think.
She said, how in the world you remember all of that? I
Probably
don't
the same
know.
one. There's one home grave over the Big Country.
North of Little Canada.
That there's so many about.
Yeah, the one up there by Vance. There's one over the side with the beaver or something.
He's got a
Don't
big
find
store.
us out.
They come in here and stuff
They get
down
very
their jackets and everything.
No.
I guess I never get so I keep my mouth shut.
I got one going up here.
See, I don't have anything to go up here. That's why I use that, because otherwise I forget half the things we talk about.
You know, one of the old boys, the LPT and Beach, had a very small pocket type of paper boy. He said, when I'm traveling and busy, I don't think of something to say. Said, if I don't, I used to try to write down things and said I could get through that and then he'll get back into, I guess he travels all week, so he comes back to the office and he
That's
does.
what I do.
Gordon's got one right there.
Yeah. That's what I do, because otherwise, if I think of things, if I write it down, sometimes it's easier to talk me into that.
I've got to have something.
Well, those are easy. This is like I had to do worse.
We wanted Ruth and I to sing and let her record it, you know, with my voice and do some songs, you know.
I wish I had Mother's voice down on her tape recorder. Voice, she could make this room vibrate.
I was talking about things that are sad. I really, when you were saying Sandra crying, you know, when you were talking about it, I think one of the saddest things is when I see my father out of it, because it seems like he could still be here. It's so realistic. It's
I
very
think it
sad.
has so many times on this story where Hoss, he's been dead a long
Oh,
time.
yes, the car run.
My father was been 100 this year in September.
And I
And
see
in
Hoss
Sally
and I
Henn's
think,
day
also,
will be
yes, and I don't know how
a
people
year
can
from
look
that
at it.
September.
It
A
really
year
makes me
different.
sad.
He still lives in that
Makes
old
it
gallery.
too real. It makes
They're
me
pretty
feel
close.
like
Did that sound know this was
was
No,
the
that's
same.
Homer's mother got away.
I know Homer's mother did, but I was
Well,
wondering
she
if
may
Sally
have.
did too.
She may
If
have.
they did, we'll get these three
Amazing Grace.
ladies that are in their 90s. Now, one of them didn't understand here what's going on, but if we can just get the
When he
pictures.
was singing it when he come out at the end of the evening. And, when he got well enough, why, her father recorded it, and he brought it down and played it on my birthday.
Yeah, okay.
At dinner.
When you're going back up to Ozark, maybe I'll get on the road.
Gordon,
His wife.
have you ever seen a picture of General Rains?
But she laughs and she
Right,
doesn't
don't worry.
laugh.
I've seen one, I don't want that.
I've acting tested everything I've got and I can't.
But it's just the best.
Anything, anything.
Bruce had George looked up there and he
Picture
goes,
about
"By the time
halfway up.
He's been practicing
Well,
on
that's
the
token
Now, let's
road
see.
and we've been singing, out the bridge that word.
I'll be down again. I'll call you. I'm gonna get his phone number some evening. Yeah, only 45 minutes away.
I know it isn't on.
We'll come down, we'll spend the whole evening singing.
Less than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Let me know, will you?
We'll have to spend the whole evening singing.
And Ella,
Huh?
you can have some of your grandchildren over.
Love to. I could get them over, they just have their own way, and part of the time they come.
Well, you have to ask, and if they don't come, that's
That's their fault.
their fault.
Yeah.
They all sing, play guitars and sing and
Well,
everything.
Ella's family really can sing.
I had
They
a
go
former,
to church and sing, but now then there's two of them married, and the other one, another one got married. He had 2 boys and 2 girls, and they're all good singers. And the two, one boy and the oldest boy and the oldest girl was married. The next boy will be married the 4th of June, and they both work in Springfield. So
But
they're
they're all
not,
in
their dad and mother live at no show. So they don't get together very much either. And then the other, my niece or my great-granddaughter, Mitchell's oldest daughter, her daughter will be getting married last May.
Doesn't seem possible.
No, they're all grown.
that's kind of interesting. Family incident.
Oh, there you go. Got a picture in your room that shows him in a lane. And then the picture is cut off with just half the horse, just the background of the horse. And it says, "You're married. I'm the one on the left."
I need the education.
Oh, good cartoon.
What do you know, I could go and get the education, you know, and this old man wanted to stay all winter and teach me.
Horses
Or
rearing
his
him.
board and lodging for the winter months.
And then he could send it to his friends,
And I
he'd send you anything every year.
And he, I could take
Time
down
of year or
all
whatever
of
it
us
is.
talking, you know, I could take
Reminds
down.
me of
And
you.
I could read it off.
Yeah. Makes
Translated in
your friend out to be a horse rider.
But
Well, you remind me of,
something to do with that, I married my quest. Forgot it all. If I'd have taught me, let me put music, that would be good.
Yes, that's right. You could.
yeah, you keep one of those in here.
Okay. Okay.
And this was the tobacco deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see that.
And,
Yeah, we'll try to draw that on.
yes, Fry done an awful poor job. Another thing, you need a good pen with good black ink to do that. And mine wasn't much good.
You have plenty of paper and everything to write on and everything?
I buy this in the big box.
You like to use those felt tip pens?
When you get it, like that, you just
Like these?
put the leaves.
This kind?
Yeah.
Not all ones.
I bought 3 up to Ozark the other day, and one's kind of like that. They're right over there.
They work all right for you.
And they lay the board.
You still write quite a bit.
Oh, yes.
See, I'll bring you some down, we'll sell it. I'll just bring
I
yours
did more
down.
typing, but my typewriter's about to go, and I think when I go to Springfield, next time I'll buy me a new one. If I can get one that's not electric, I'd have to burn that.
It's been dried out, so.
And I don't want electric now.
So it's
I
taking
think I
place.
better get one. I like them about
That
this
honey
portable.
and
I've used it now
that's where they
for
made up the solution.
ever since
Here's the
52.
container and these brushes. 80
Swap that off, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Roll the
the
lid
judges
down,
might come
pen
up
it down.
with a picture for you.
Hmm?
Judges might come up.
Yeah, maybe if I get James told, she can.
Anyone that can grow a box will be able to grow that. Now, them little thin box Elmo is just a teeny bit smaller than the box you see, just a teeny bit. So that they'll fall out. When they
Yeah.
turn the box up after it's all pressed and all ready, why, they'll all turn out.
I thought you said the bottom would come out.
Well, you could have the bottom come out, but I got to thinking this over, and Uncle Noah didn't have the bottom out. He had an extra board in the bottom.
Oh.
And
this came out
then when
when
he
you-
turned that up, it would all fall out. And
Was these when they fell out, were they little 4x4 blocks or was
no,
they
you
big
had to
block
cut
and
the
any color?
blocks. You had to cut the blocks.
cut the
It tells you in
blocks.
the story of
Yeah.
it. And had to cut the blocks in the 3 pieces. He cut it twice.
I got a father used to make tobacco twist in a big kettle and liquids and stuff at Ozark, and I've got something on there that I've been gathering information on tobacco industry.
Yeah, it's been hit.
And gunpowder.
Mrs. Roselle was showing us how her father used to twist tobacco. Homer Bookout's father twisted his, and he said, and he twisted it in a professional way, it never would come untwisted. If it stayed that way,
Well,
No.
that's the way Uncle Noah did too. When he twisted it, never come undone. It stayed just like he made it.
Homer
And
told
he
me
kept it
one
in the
time.
shoe.
And all of the clippings was used for smoking tobacco, and all the little rough edges that he cut off of these plugs, he called them plugs, you know, the squares. And he would mix that in the smoking tobacco too. And you see, everybody, most men and women, chewed tobacco. You didn't see many people smoke
They
that.
used to be 100 too.
They didn't, you didn't see many smoking. My grandmother smoked a little clay pot. Oh, it was just a little teeny thing, and she wouldn't hold more than half a thimbleful maybe, but she would smoke after she ate, and she had that little pipe in a crack in the fireplace.
Yeah.
Till next meal, and then she'd go sit down in her easy little chair, and she'd sit there and smoke that little clay pipe. But when I went down on the Ozark Mountains, all women chewed tobacco or dipped snuff. And I would,
17-year-old girl parking down in
once in a while,
my
passed me
generation.
the snuff and wanted me to take a chew in the back run. I
It's
never
kind
done
of
nothing
surprising
like
when you
that.
get a tip from one little beautiful gal or discover that she's stiff and
But they
stuff.
were wonderful people.
Well, you want to remember that fire and matches were scarce at that time.
Mr. Stewart
No.
used to smoke that plug cut tobacco that Edgeworth made, and I think it would have been about like this, and it's cut in strips, just like this would have been only cut in strips. And then they smoke. I think they maybe still make it. It's not real well
Yeah,
made.
they have.
Edgeworth, it's in a little metal, comes in a little metal container. It probably costs about $1 for a little tin of it now. But it
The
was
stuff's
smoked.
come back now.
It's called plug cut smoking
How
tobacco.
this skull is, that they advertise, and that stuff. That's what all the college boys are trying.
Oh, I know.
Big deal.
Our down here.
Even the junior high boys.
What was that?
Oh, really?
Huh?
Our postmaster down
I
there.
don't know what, they got in a little trouble for trying.
He says his junior high boy tried it too, got in trouble here recently with it.
Old Bill Miner over there drew his home about that. Twisted like Mike did it anyway. He just chewed it, and usually they aged it some and so on, and he chewed his old home room, and he just burned out on it. And he had the palate of his mouth out to me. He talked kind of like this all the time. And he came down to Uncle Mike's, you know, and he burned out on his own homegrown tobacco, and Mike had the River Bottom Farm, and he would buy some of this kind of tobacco, pick or horseshoe or some of those, you know, he had some town bought tobacco along he chewed on. Old Bill come down and said, Uncle Mike, he said, have you got any chewing tobacco? He handed him a brother, old Bill took a big hunk off of it. Oh, he said, I'm just hell hungry for town tobacco, he said. Hell hungry for town tobacco.
My uncle uncle married his sister, my youngest, Uncle Kurt married Jane.
And her granddaughter I had the two girls in high school. She checked her over at Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah, I meet her over there once in a while.
And Clem, her dad died just recently.
We're hugging cousins too, when we have to hug each other.
Hugging cousins, that's another side.
Yeah,
We love each other and we hug each other. And they-
every Sunday she called her father in California. And he was in pretty good health. Of course, one of the girls was Pearl at that time, but he was pretty good health. Right up till he might have said there before he died, he was 67 like that. And that was really beautiful way to go. Now that
Reddy sent me her picture that I got it about 4 days before she died, sitting on Clem's lap. They had her pictures made, and she sent me, I've got it here, a picture of her. And I didn't know there was anything the matter with Reddy. I don't know how she died. I just hate to ask,
She and Clem came back and came down to
I just hate to ask folks for death. She woke up. Just what happened to her.
So her father apparently had a heart attack went pretty quick, but he
Yeah, I know.
But he talked nice over every
Yeah.
Sunday he called.
Yeah.
And he's done that for a long time, ever since her mother died.
No, I couldn't Martin had that deal. We went to the ball game one night, and Tommy was, he had a bad tonsils. His tonsils flared up on him, he didn't get to go to this ball game, and after it was over, when a couple of his friends said, asked his sisters, said, where's Tom? He's supposed to be here to help us clean up the gym, man. And they said, well, he got tonsillitis and had to stay home. And, but they didn't tell Tom, they didn't tell the girls why they were being punished. So they told Dad, and Dad went home, storming up to the room and said, what did you get in trouble for? And he said, oh, God, I should have told you, And I said, well, I said, you found it out. You were supposed to have been there. If you had been well, you were supposed to have your punishment by cleaning up the gym after the game tonight. I said, well, just tell me what it'd be a lot better if you just tell me straight out what it was. He said, oh, I can't. I said, come on now, Tom, you just got to tell me. He said, can't you guess? It was so vivid to him, And, and I was guessing a lot of things. And finally, I forced it out of him. And he said, we were chewing snuff, sitting on the bleachers, And it wasn't any of the
Did it
things
make you sick?
No, it didn't make him sick, but he was sick when he had to tell Dad about it.
Yeah.
It was so vivid to him that he thought I could guess what it was.
Be a mind reader.
Yeah, and that's about the last thing in the world I would
Yeah.
have guessed.
I think it's worse things to fly into that.
I had a terrible time not showing how much relief I felt.
Well, we knew with Bill, we didn't have to be told what was the trouble with him, which is Rockaway, and he rode his bicycle down to the store, and he went down, and he got him a cigar or something to smoke. Anyway, he'd smoke, and as he come back, why, he felt like he's a big man now. He's big enough. I think he's about 15, 16.
Who was that?
Bill. He was living there Rockaway. And he rode his bicycle back up to the house, and he come in, and he looked so pale, and I said, why, Bill, what's the matter with you? You're so pale. Are you sick? Oh, I guess not. But directly he said, well, I don't feel very good. And I said, well, listen, what's the matter with you? You're too pale. You've done something you shouldn't. He said, Mama, I always told you and Dad, if I ever smoked or took a chew of tobacco, I'd sure tell you. And I said, well, you wouldn't have to told me today if that's what you've done. I said, it showed me. And by that time, he had to go and lay down. He was just terrible sick. He was just so sick he couldn't even hold his head up. So he laid there, and when his father, I seen him coming, I went and met him, and I said, now listen, Bill took his first smoke, and he's awful sick. I said, when you come in, you pity him. Don't you say a rough word to him. You just pity him. He come in and went. He said, how you feel, Bill? He began to cry. He said, like a darn fool.
Bill and I spoke grapevines before then, but that didn't have the same effect.
No.
That didn't work
No,
on
it
that.
didn't, a life everlasting.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah,
smoked
we-
pepper bad coals as children, but, that is his first.
What was this,
smoke.
Life Everlasting? What was that?
That's a weed grows out here.
We used to go Indians back to grow the plant roots.
Yeah.
And we used to dry the coffee ground, you know. That was
Yeah, I heard of it. They tell me
Kids don't get a habit smoking some of that kind of stuff.
you know, my great-grandmother smoked her clay, or my great-great-grandmother smoked her clay pipe upside down. Now, I've heard since that a lot of old hill women smoked their pipes upside down because if they worked out in the fields in the rain, it didn't put the fire out.
Yeah.
But the trouble with her is when she got older, she was down in Springdale, Arkansas, she'd sit in a rocking chair in front of the window. You know, they had those big windows that came all the way down, you know.
Oh, Gordon, they
She'd
did
watch
have
people
pipes
go up.
at that time that wouldn't spill their tobacco
Maybe
out.
that was, well, this one though, yeah, this did though, because she'd have it upside down and they'd come in and she'd doze off and that ball of fire had fallen out in her dress.
Yeah.
So they had to watch her real close because she
Yeah.
set herself on fire with it.
Well,
She
they
smoked it
had
upside down.
some that would, they could,
Yeah, smoke them upside
had
down.
a cap on
Had a
them.
cap on.
I'm gonna tell you something you might enjoy. I didn't put it in the land painting, but I got a picture of my old Granny Hensley, you know. And, I went over there to visit her, she was a chewing.
Ain't Sally?
Yeah, she said, I quit my smoking elbow, but said I still chew. I said, what brand do you chew, Aunt Sally? She said, good money. She said, I said, well, did you have a clay pipe when you smoked? Oh, yes, said I've had clay pipes, and I've had top pipes, and I've had hickory pipes. Said I've had a lot of pipes. I said, oh, you like that old top pipe with that? Said, I never smoked a chew either till I got married. Said, Jim got me that smoking and chewing.
Oh.
And pretty soon she said, oh, no, said, I just don't believe all this old stuff they put out on the radio and television about tobacco being poison. Said, oh, said it might kill some little, something like a germ, but it wouldn't hurt anybody. And she'll be 100 or too long, and it looks like she's got some truth there.
Well, I tell you, to be honest with you, I think the stuff we're getting in our cow's milk is more harmful than what our your tobacco is.
Depending on what the cows been drinking, you know.
No, it ain't what they've been drinking, it's what they've been feeding them.
People spraying old folks
Then the
up in,
feed.
what, Wisconsin?
Oh, yeah. Oh, they got a poison up there, don't they?
Oh, that's terrible.
No, it's a problem. I took out a pint of half and half a year ago, and we'd left about 2 tablespoons for what in it, didn't it? About 4 days old. And I thought, well, it's sweet, looks like. I tasted it. It tastes sweet, but boy, I think there's an ounce of quinine in it.
It had rotted.
Which they had a lot of things too.
Simply
now,
so
too.
bitter I couldn't
That's-
stand it.
Pasteurized milk rot.
Well, you can take raw milk, if it's soured naturally, just keep it 100 years, and you can drink it hardly preserve itself with acidity. But once it's pasteurized, you don't know what kind of bugs get in, and they may be food
Don't know
poisoning
how
bugs.
many's in it when they.
Romaine bugs,
Yeah.
they'll rot. But natural milk preserves itself. That's what SMS up there in Dairy, of course, they had,
Well,
I don't know how
this,
many years old there. And the dairy classes had sampled. Of course, it was good and sour.
Yeah.
But it curdled and water formed in there, but it just like vinegar, it preserves itself. See? And then you take your pasteurized milk, and boy, it's a lot. Think you out of the house.
You can't even sour this milk that you feed
Oh.
the
You know.
cows this
You
other
know.
milk, their feed now that you buy and feed them, the milk won't sour your butter.
You know those bugs.
It's so stale you can't eat it 2 days after you churn it hardly.
Those bugs, souring bugs, usually is around everywhere, but not always. Now, once in a while, you'll have a case where you'll have to go and borrow some, get your milk to sour. We had that case at home, I had a dirty cow after the war. I couldn't get her milk to sour.
Before the
And
yeast started.
so I said, well, yeah, I said, let's get some of those bugs on the plate and borrow a little sour milk from Sis over there and put it in here, and hereafter you'll have enough bugs to get a big
When your
big
sister
bug.
wasn't here, then we got it.
And it soured good then, but
Yeah.
it just wasn't no souring bugs
Well,
there.
when I was a child, they had a mother in vinegar that they traded each other all over the country. They'd come get a little strip of mother out of it to make their own vinegar.
We had-
How did you make
we
your
had that
vinegar?
about
Put in
the
water?
Mountaineer.
To start warm water, put this mother in it and cover it tightly and set it away.
Yeah, we had a good, a lady wrote a long piece explaining that. process.
We used to make it that
Of
way.
course, you
My
got a lot
mother
of
give
sugar
people
weight.
it.
Yeah.
Weight vinegar now.
Mother, lots of times
Put it
to
in
take
the
a
right
butter
culture,
vinegar
what
and
you do.
make it.
You were talking about old timers. Did you know John Helseback? I'm sure.
Yes, I did.
I bet he must.
Yeah.
I heard Elmo was the first one ever talked to me about it. Since then, I heard, in fact, W.W. Johnson, you know who he was,
Yeah.
told me when he was a little boy, they used to go over on Uncle John. He was going to go fishing with Uncle John.
Yeah.
They'd go on Swan.
That's all Uncle John wanted to do.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he said they go sit there.
Well, I don't know his other art, but that was not
They set their minute traps, and he said,
He did like to go
yeah, he said, Uncle, here he was, a little boy about 6 years old, and he said, here he'd be with old Uncle John. He said, Uncle John's hands were great, big hands.
Yeah.
He said, here he was, this little boy's hands, and Uncle John said, all right, now, we're going to split these minutes evenly. And he said, you get a handful, and I get a handful. And he said, he reached in, he'd get his little 5 or 6 minutes, he said, Uncle John's great big hands, pull out 3 or 4 dozen. He said,
Yeah.
next thing you know, he'd have about a dozen, Uncle John had 4 or 5 dozen. But
Yeah.
that hasn't even split, he's got a handful, see.
Yeah.
But he always remembered that, he said.
Like Bill Wood, hands wouldn't, you can't do something because his hands don't match.
I know that
Yeah.
my husband and I went down there to meet his grandmother. She came in, the hack come through by Chadwick. Or they went to Chadwick and picked the people up on the train. They come to Chadwick.
And then take them on that.
And then the bus, or hack rather it was, from Forsyth would go every day to Chadwick. Take passengers and pick passengers up. And we
Did
went.
you go every day?
Huh?
Every day?
Every day, yeah. And we went down to meet this hack at night one evening to, when my grandmother, his grandmother was coming in from Lake City, Colorado. And we went down to meet her, and we were waiting there, and Brett, you've heard him talk of Brett, the son, Brett Hilsaback. I think that's the only boy. They had Lois and I don't know if I can think of the other girl, but Lois was one of the girls. They had 2 daughters and Brett. And Brett was talking going into the army. He didn't want to work. He's like his daddy wanted to fish. He didn't like to work. And he'd threatened with going into the army. And Mrs. Hilsaback was crying. She didn't want Brett to go away and be killed. And he said, I say, Mother, just let him go. Said if he gets killed, it'll learn him something.
Let's go out to the spring room. You want to see my garden? What we're going to do in the house and sell it? I made all this without that pitchfork right there. I have a pitchfork like the other pitchfork. They are. Just noticed the rock wall in the back.
Oh, yeah, I was noticing this.
Now they live, the hottest days of the year.
Oh, boy, that's sweet.
And she put her cabbage down on the floor, and it was just
Oh, boy.
Oh, it is nice.
The hottest days, you can come in here at 65.
Great.
It'll be 65 in here.
There, Comedy, Mona.
Oh,
That's
my.
Mona's passion.
These here little black things in it now, it's not bugs, they're the,
Oh, no, I know
they're
that.
off of
This
them.
was the promise earlier in the day.
Oh, I tell you, that's
You ought to see
my
how
country
she
wife.
got
She loves her
me.
hominy. You know?
Was that some hominy you made for these bittersweet people?
Yeah, that's some. No, I didn't. This ain't none of it. That's made afterwards. That all went right straight that day. And then, well, this is some I made about 25 quarts. And Bill's got part of it, and Anna Mae's got some. Mitchell said he didn't care for any hominy. And Bill told me give him some, but he didn't get it. And these aren't pickles, they're just canned peaches.
My mother, the fall of the year, she didn't have 2,000 quarts or something, canned to sell it. And
But you see,
Apples
it's
is
gonna
scared.
got a lot of gonna flow
you know what you're
through.
going to do. Be careful.
I brought these pools in here.
Braced
I didn't
a little
get this
better.
one- I didn't get this one cut off when I was about to. Mother said, lick my calf over. Oh, you see, I didn't cut it off enough.
You catch the
Yeah,
other
it should be
one.
short
Well,
up
yeah,
right
I
in
started
here.
to say that one of
You
your
need to
sons.
re-roof your
Right.
upper
Yeah,
hill.
here's the problem, is right up here. This is good here. This old,
It's good up
this
there.
old's like rock, but see how this is, dampness is down there.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all.
all the floors are falling through.
Yeah, but that isn't any major problem.
But I thought the walk on, I've got to get a lot of that stuff out of it up there, throw it out.
I don't
And,
think, I think you can find somebody put you in the floor.
I'm gonna, well, the boys will some of these days, I guess. I told them I guess
You
it's
see here, boy, everything else is fine. Supposed to be here
I
long
had
after
my
all of
husband,
us.
we put in this concrete or rock
Yeah.
floor, we just got
Boy.
flat rocks and put it in.
Yeah. Well, look at that. How big were some of these? My goodness.
Yeah, they're flat, they're only about that.
Yeah, but
thick,
they're
so-
still heavy.
Yeah. I built this rock wall, me and animated little boy.
Yeah.
One up here myself.
Mona, she made these steps herself right here.
Oh, you did it?
I built this myself. I had a little boy about 4 years old helping me. My old half-time married boy, David, he's in Sears Road up in Springfield.
Yeah, that's when you told me it worked.
Yeah.
Head of one of the departments.
Well, now what's his last name? David Lewis. David E. Lewis. Yes, he ought to go in. And he's one of the executives in the outfit now. He's bought in and he's
Oh.
yeah.
They have a
Yeah.
Look at that.
Uh-huh.
Now, where in the Ozarks did that pine cone come from right there?
Well, I don't.
That's a pretty good size.
That's a pretty big one, isn't it?
That comes from somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I've never seen
Somebody
one
brought
that-
it.
I
to
started
me
saying,
here.
I would-
Yeah.
I've never seen one that big in the
Yeah, we
Ozarks.
don't have any that
Not
big
that
here.
big.
But he brought it from
Yeah.
somewhere.
Some big ones like
Yeah.
Central Oregon.
Somewhere else.
Some little kind of a
But
go in there. Oh, that's
oh, that's
No, that's cedar.
it's moss, a kind of a rock moss, and I had these all covered with it. And the goats got in one time, and all they just rid it. And that's, I guess, about the only sprig I've got left.
Oh, my.
Maybe one along here somewhere about.
She said that she and her
They've run
husband
into
used to
this
have a
with
nursery.
Kirks and cars
Yeah.
and back
Not,
into it.
yeah, but still.
I put it up, my boy said, Mom, I won't stay there long.
Yeah.
I said, the way
maybe
I
that was
tied
after
them,
her
they'll stay there a long
They're
time.
still here.
Well, every layer I go across here,
Yeah,
I'd lay
kinda
one
interlocking
on,
with
go,
you.
I'd
Yeah.
get a great long one to
Yeah.
go back and tie it.
Uh-huh.
And that way,
All the way down to the
it's
creek.
still here.
And they brought
It's
water.
not bad, but
Why, that's all right to me.
it'll be here when I'm going,
Well,
yes.
now Betty Ingenthron was telling me an interesting story about, tell them about tapping your tree. They didn't want her to come up the bluff with the maple,
That's maple there and
the
this one.
maple here and here.
They said, you just don't dare, we don't want to see you going up that hill. We're going to have war if you do. And I said, I won't go up the hill. I said, that sap will come down to me.
Yeah, that's right.
And the girls, there's 5 of the kids from Lebanon High School, Bittersweet, and their teacher, English teacher.
Ellen
6
Massey.
of them, yeah.
Ellen Massey.
Yeah, they came over here and they early one morning and I showed them. They helped me, got a hold of my arms and took me up there and go over to this one and I showed them how to bore the hole in there and they tapped twice in that and twice in this one. And I just got one of these little rubber holes, cut it in 2 inlets to fit. And I fastened them hose to the trees and run down here and tugged her along here.
That's the way to do it.
You're taking advantage of gravity.
Why, sure.
And I got about 10 gallons in all.
My
I got
God.
all
The
So I didn't get any
they're
but
newcomers.
service.
Carolina
I
Buck
wouldn't
Point.
take the girls from
They did get it in. There's a
Yeah.
better one. I watched one of the first 2 up in the country
the
for
whole
a couple of years before I decided
I had to
find
make
out what the
little,
road was.
I took little
Plants come and go. They range of
and
distribution.
cut the ends of them after I put the test out of them. I
Yeah, I know
cut
we
the
were
ends
one
of
day.
them a
Yeah,
little
who
bit
was
about that
doing
long
that?
to stick my coil to the tree and to the hole. And that way I'll splash them
Well, now
on.
when will that article be in the Bittersweet?
It's supposed to be in the next one, I think.
Oh,
What kind of a tree is that where the leaves look that way?
Good big leaves there.
Right there.
They're Buckeye.
Oh, that's Buckeye.
Well, that's what I
Horse
wondered.
There's a lot of them out in the chicken house there.
A lot of these up here in Carolina.
Or is that blue?
That's the reason they're so droopy.
No, right there, the dark is on there. Is that a bloom or is that a leaf? You see, when the dark is the leaf, the froze.
Yeah, that's dead leaves.
Yeah.
They've
Well,
frosted
I
up.
thought maybe they might have little dingle things, you
No,
know,
they just-
like walnuts, you know, that hang
Yeah.
down.
They froze. That's what was the matter with them.
I was looking for a bloom or something.
See, you got your gourd hanging over here.
Yeah, that was my dipper gourd and had no bird's nest in it, but I think that tree has died.
Yeah.
And that's moss orange. It'll soon be in bloom. It's taking the place. Too much of it.
Look at these white violets. Are they unusual? I see a lot of the purple ones.
Oh, we have white ones, blue ones, and variegated, all kinds of them.
Right up here. Yeah, that's white.
Yeah, and these yellow ones here, yellow and blue and variegated.
I've never seen the yellow.
And real blue. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got rocks in here.
Look at that rock.
Yeah,
Well, that's a,
that's a big one.
yeah.
But see how the...
We did have a little brooder house here one time, and then we built this big one out here. I intended to make a hotbed under that. Build it out here and then have that hanging on and cover
Yeah.
over with plastic.
Oh, yeah.
I don't do them things.
Oh, those white violets.
Well, and
You
the
can
flowers
have
are just
some.
now starting to come out. Just wait.
We
We're a
can
month
have
early,
some
aren't
to set out if you want.
We have a dog that's just bad news for our
Oh.
yard. It's a Labrador
That's our boy. He's
Retriever
just gonna have
and
to
a
do something.
Chuck, and we're just going to have to because
Big
I
dog
couldn't
in a
have
small
my
yard
garden
this year.
Yeah.
because of it.
Well,
I
good
felt like it'd
gardener,
just
I'll
be
tell you.
wasted effort.
It
you
would
know.
with that or with chickens.
In fact, the only trouble we've had in recent years is when I tried to get in and fix your tomatoes last year.
Yes, and you ruined
Well, you had so many weeds, it took me all. Of course, I will admit that your comment. You know, I did a terrible thing though. I'm really an out farmer, see.
Well,
But she had her cucumbers down, and the weeds were just smothering them. So
Oh,
I got in
hadn't
there.
had time to do anything
Well, it
about
didn't look too neat, so I got in there one day. I thought, I was really surprised her. And I cleaned all the weeds out of the cucumbers. And some guy told me that he used to see years ago if they plant cucumbers along rail fences and let them
Yeah.
go up there. So I thought, well, I'll put some wire fence through it. We'll just well, the first hot day it killed them, you know, because of the
Yeah.
heat.
they were-
Oh, I was in trouble.
Yeah,
Oh,
I planned to come along this fence out here, and I bet you that they won't.
But it just-
The caliber.
well, the son took care of these. I learned that those weeds were good for them.
We used to do that same kind of corn every year from up in that field. Then we had good meat too.
Corn fed, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. Isn't that ingenuity?
That was one thing I wanted to show, you know.
Yep.
Now see, move the weeds at the bottom so you can see the little dents.
Pictures of all of this
If you're going to
too.
take a picture.
And then I had to show them the dumbo, and they had to
Well,
have
you showed them the
pictures.
gumbo.
Huh?
Well, they would be good victims for Dumbo if you had to do it.
Oh, them two boys, they really
How'd
going
they
home
take it?
make them one. They're going to get them a groundhog.
They have people cured up inside of that schoolboy had to be
Bad
really-
as you
Out
did.
Oh.
there,
Okay.
out there, Carney.
I'll ask. What are you talking about?
We'll show you directly.
All right.
You have
You
to see it
appreciate
and miss
one,
it.
you don't need to see them, just hear them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know. I think I know what you're talking about. Where they string the wires? I don't know.
Yeah, they're just everywhere, and they will be now.
I'm ready to cut off something.
Everything here but money, folks.
Oh,
heavens. There's no money here, and this is the legs that sent me to make more homes and covers on her. I can't. I've got mailboxes, and I've got garden. See my little
Yeah.
boy and girl?
Yeah.
Oh, this is cute. They're about faded out.
Oh, it just needs to be repainted.
Yeah, they need to be repainted. Here's my
Oh, yeah.
symbol. Right here. ain't got any. It takes a lot of law. You gotta have law. We'll do it in the long spring. Oh, I'll tell you. They used to come out here from Rockaway and torment us to death nearly. They'd park right here at our gate and holler and rip around all the night nearly. And my husband said, I'm going to stop that. So he went and killed a groundhog and I tanned it.
Oh, that's a groundhog time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
what,
boy, we never had any more trouble.
that's what Chris,
When the car would come in and park, he'd get out
learned
here
to
with
get on
this
there.
thing and
Banjo
boy,
cover.
they'll make your hair raise.
Yeah.
And run the dogs under the porch. Until turned this loose, the Kirsten boys just wouldn't play with him down to school. Why, he scared them around this bluff and they come in home. They run into my house and I said, oh, somebody trying to scare you. And I said, no, that nobody could make that racket. I said, oh, somebody's trying to scare you. They come in and finally I got them started and hold up the creek. Oh. They got out there just about to clover. They turned loose that thing again and they run back to the house. They just let it come in on the porch. Oh. We can't go home. And I said, well, I don't know if Bill's coming home tonight or not. I said, you just have to stay. You can go in his bedroom and sleep in his bed. And so here, Bill and the Clifford farmer come in and go, well, I run outside to meet them. I knew then it was them because they were laughing. And I said, Baker boys is in here and they're in your bed. You've scared them to death. He let out almost a note. He said, I've never done anything mean in my life. It didn't backfire. See, I painted me some faces and filled my jugs and set them around in my... this one's about wore off, but I set them full of water around my corn patch, and I think it helped.
yeah.
I kind of thought it did. I got a good scale gas range and good Maytag washer that we took out of the house and they put in electricity. Now this is a little coffee pot.
Yeah,
Yeah, we just taking there some more than the...
Yeah. Did you used to have them come here, when they do the thrashing and everything, and did you feed them all?
We didn't here, but I did at Father's
uh-huh.
when I was a girl at home. But we used to take these kind of things when we went to our family reunions down at the park at Forsyth. And we'd have...
Yeah, sometime I want to talk to you about the dances and everything, about who some of the good fiddlers were and all that. I like to kind of get some ideas.
All that I knew were good.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, from up over around Ozark, wasn't he?
Well, he did later.
Yeah, I've heard some stories about
He
him.
was raised over here on Bull Street.
I'm thinking it's Sam Weatherman, too. I'm
And
thinking
Sam Weatherman, so he was a good one, too.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of, Sam Weatherman. Yeah.
Well, that shop my husband built, and he's got a lathe and a grist mill and a lumber saw, shingle saw, and a lathe.
Did he make the window frame?
He made the window
He
frames.
just bought the glass and made everything.
And he's got a lathe that's in there yet, and a grist mill, and a planer.
Want to go look?
Huh?
Want to go look?
What do you run them with? Do you use a
Gas
gas
engine and a belt and shaft.
Fairbank
and
Morris engine. We had a Fairbank Morris engine. It's sitting in there too. I had a key, I'd show you in there, but
Sometime we'll.
the boys got the keys to it. They think I'll drag the tools out and leave them, but they're worse asleep about mine.